Hi, 8th graders, and welcome to Monday, November the 9th. We are just rolling right along through the fall. And today we start a new chapter. Hopefully you have been able to finish up your project for the previous chapter. That you can continue to work on it certainly until Wednesday, but when you come in Wednesday, you should have that study guide, whether it took the form of a lap book, a poster, flashcards, whatever. It should be with you on Wednesday, so make sure you bring it in. It will be counted as a test grade. Today we are starting chapter 4, and it will continue in sort of the easiness. I know that some of you needed a little break after chapters 1 and 2. So today we're doing nouns. Hopefully this will be pretty easy for you. And that is why I mentioned you can either watch the video or read through the materials yourself. As we get further in, it probably will get a little harder, so you probably want to watch the video. So today we're starting with lesson 34, and we will be on page 171. And we will be talking about nouns, and so we're going to look at the gray box first. And in the gray box, there's some pretty simple things, and this should all be review for you. A noun names a person, place, thing, or idea. It can be either concrete or abstract, and we have talked about concrete ideas and abstract ideas. If you were with me last year, remember we wrote a paragraph describing something concrete and a paragraph describing something abstract. An abstract would be something like war or peace, friendship, love. Those are ideas in our heads, but we can't necessarily touch them. We'll also be talking about gender, which I didn't put in here, but then common and proper nouns. A common noun is just the girl, but a proper noun would be presenting you with her name. And then I want to give you the definition for substantive, but I rarely use this term. A substantive in your gray box, it says it's any word or group that functions as a noun. So anything in your sentence that functions as a noun. This is an old term that just is not used very much anymore, and so I really don't see the use of it, and so I won't be using it. Let's go to our next slide. And we are going to specifically talk about the person, place, thing, idea. So any people, any places, anything that you can touch, that you can smell, that you could taste, those are concrete nouns. And things like war, peace, friendship that I already mentioned are also nouns. Now, I could also talk about someone's idea, someone's proposal, someone's scientific project, and those are also ideas. And of course, if they're on paper, they're a lot easier to see and call a noun. But I think you get the idea. If you have a question about this, you can certainly ask me on Wednesday. Common, proper should be super easy. Common does not name a specific person or place. Proper does. Gender tends to be a little bit hard when you get into these last two, common and neuter. Masculine nouns are pretty easy. The masculine of the human race is male and female. But if you have different animals, the ram, the buck, my brother, feminine, you, doe, sister. So you look for the feminine words and you put those in the feminine category. Now the common one is when we don't know. So cat or dog could be either, and that's going to fall in the common category, just like sheep, deer, sibling. We don't know if it is females or males, and so we look for the common noun when we don't know. Then the neuter is anything that does not have a masculine or feminine gender. And things like road, the idea of mercy, a table, a pillow, those would all fall in the neuter category. Again, this should be a fair amount of review for you, but sometimes these last two are easy to get confused. So make sure that you, if you're taking notes or if you're creating flashcards, that maybe you put some examples to remind you. Now, we have already talked about words that can change with endings to become something different. Remember that verbs can change to become nouns, but it's not just verbals. Let's take a look at endings that if they are put on a verb or a noun, they can become a different noun with a new ending. So here are some of the ending choices that could be put on some of our words to create new words. And this is where a lot of confusion kind of sets in. Here's some, well, let me just go over these first. S-I-O-N, I-L-T-Y or I-L-I-T-Y, N-E-S-S, M-E-N-T, U-D-E, hood. But make sure that you reference these as you do your homework. Make sure that you reference these if you're having problems with how to add endings to words. So here's some examples. Confuse. Like if I say, I am going to confuse you, I've actually changed that into a verbal, the infinitive. You can also, I could say, confuse your neighbors, and that would be used as the verb. But if I put S-I-O-N on it, it becomes an automatic noun. Clean your room. But I add N-E-S-S to it and becomes cleanness, and it is a noun. Depend can become dependence. Approve can become approval. Mother is already a noun, but if I add on a different ending, it becomes a different noun. Quiet is a noun. Quietude becomes a different noun with that U-D-E ending. So you can see how people often get confusing or get confused with the English language because now we can take all of these different endings, add them onto existing words, and come up with new words. So hopefully most of this is review for you. I'm not going to spend time doing the class practice. You may move ahead instead and do the homework if you wish, or you can do the class practice if you're confused, and you may turn that in for extra credit if you would like. So I will count any of these things that come in. If you want to bring them in, just write extra credit for quarter one, and I will give you extra credit points on any tests that you may have struggled with. So if you've worked all the way to the end of this video, you actually kind of get a bonus that maybe somebody else doesn't. So if you do the class practice and you put extra credit for quarter one at the top of the paper, then I will give you extra credit points on one of your tests from quarter one. So that is all that I have. If you have questions, please let me know, and I will see you Wednesday.